Hey ladies and gents, it's Zem back, and we're doing a video on another rare tank. And I don't know if this is necessarily rare anymore. This was giving out in the box set. When you first wanted to play this game, you had an option to buy a box set of these really kind of odd tanks. They were the starter packs when World of Tanks first went into operation. So what we have here is a Tier 8 American Heavy. So this was one of those tanks that I didn't get in on it because I didn't know about World of Tanks until probably 6 months after it launched. So I always kind of wanted one. So I think it was last year, Christmas, they offered this tank up for sale. I consider it a really rare tank because you don't see it on the battlefield very often, if ever. You don't see these things running around. Yeah, they're just kind of a rare tank. They have been offered for sale after the fact, after they were originally sold with the beginning of the game. So when you do see one, the nickname for it is they call it the Mutant 6. Why? Because it is a kind of an oddball, and we're gonna have to start way back with the M6. And you can see some of the design features, of course, with the hulls and whatnot. What the M6 was the attempt for the American Army to build a heavy tank, starting about 1940. They developed what was at the time, on drawing board, a T1. This tank was never built. It was put up, like you said, of course, as a kind of a design. Let's see where this thing can go type of thing, but they never actually built a prototype for it. It was originally designed with multiple turrets, but at that time, eventually they kind of figured out that multiple turrets didn't really work, so they went with the single turret. This was never built. However, the T1E1, which was the next version of this, one prototype was, or actually 20 prototypes of this tank was built. By the time they got to the T1E2, which was the next upgrade, now the really only big differences of these tanks is their transmissions changed. So the T1 started out with I think a hydrostatic transmission, and then by the time they went to the T1E2, this ended up with an electric transmission, and that's the big difference. So the T1 was the original start. The design concept didn't get produced. The T1E1, which was produced in small numbers of 20, eventually segueing into the T1E3, which is what we have in game as the M6. A grand total of 40 tanks were built. Okay, so we can segue even further up. So this was in 1940, and this process lasted from by 1940 to about 1943, with these tanks being developed. Different guns tried on them. Eventually, the last of the M6 ended up with a 90 millimeter gun instead of the 75 they originally started out with. The Army kind of realized that these tanks were huge. They would have been very hard to load on what at the time was to ship them across the ocean to the front, where the M4s were much more practical, by far more trustworthy, I should say. These had a lot of mechanical problems, a lot of engine problems and stuff like that. So the M4 Sherman ended up being the choice over the M6, the T1's design features. However, in 1944, when we were getting ready to invade Europe, it was decided that they were going to look for a tank to take on enemy fortifications. Now, what I talked about earlier was with the T1E1, they had built 20 of those prototypes. They took one T1E1 and they proceeded to modify it, and they mounted heavier armor, different turret, and this is what we're talking about when we talk about the Mutant 6, the Frankenstein, whatever, because the M6A2E1 is made up of a whole bunch of parts. Essentially, we have the forged chassis and hull of the M6. Of course, this is the E1 version of it, which they added almost 191 millimeters of frontal armor here. Yeah, it's a massive chunk of armor. They also did at the time when they were trying to figure out. There was several different projects going on at the time, and one of them was the T-29 heavy tank, which is, of course, we know in game this T-29. However, at the time they only had the turrets off of the M6, so they used a modified, essentially the kind of the stock turret of the T-29, and they wanted to try it out, and they mounted it on the M6A2E1. Yeah, confusing, right? And they also at the time didn't really like the firepower of the 90 millimeter. I mean, it worked obviously, but they wanted a bigger gun, so they mounted the 105 on here. And this is the same gun, pretty close to the. This is the T5E1. These are actually the same gun. I'm not sure why there's an E prefix, an E at the end of this, specifically this gun, but it's the same gun you find on the T29, and of course the same gun you find on the T32. It's the exact same gun. So if you're familiar with these two guns, that's essentially what you get with this tank. Is this gun? So by 1944, with this monstrosity, they actually built it. It was too much. It ended up weighing 77 tons by the time they got done with it. The war was, at a point where it was like, well, do we really need it? And there was already new developments of new tanks, such as the Pershings and whatnot. So there was really never any need for this tank. This ended up being just a kind of end of the line, and they canceled the whole project. So that's where we get the M6A2E1. So this tank actually did exist. It was used. It was found to be flawed in several different things. Besides being just a massive barn. I mean, this thing is huge. I mean, height-wise, I would almost say it was probably as tall as a mouse, if not more. It's that tall. So, after all that, what do we get in game? Well, we get a gun of 105 millimeters that does 320 average damage. Now, this is, before I get too carried away, this is a preferential matchmaking on this tank. So this thing only sees 9s. That's why the average penetration is so low. And it does have pretty good matchmaking. I played, I think, 8 games today in it. Most of the time I was top tier. There was a few times I ended up with 9. Way better than that shit T-34-3 matchmaker. So this wasn't too bad. This one's actually a little bit better, in my opinion, just all the way around. It has armor, has a better gun than the T-34-3. It just does it better. However, is it better than the other tier? Tier 8 premium tanks for the Americans? It entirely depends up to you. I mean, if you get its good matchmaking, you're just going to see a bunch of 7s and 6s and 7s, and this thing is a beast with 6s and 7s. Even against under 8s, you should have no problem. It's only when you start seeing 9s. Even with 9s, it does a pretty nice job. You just have to switch to some premium ammo with it. It has a hard time with 198 pen to deal with E75s, STIs, that kind of ilk. Anytime you have to deal with a tier 9 heavy, you're kind of screwed. Other than that, the 198 is just fine for pretty much everything. It's definitely better than the 175 pen on the other shit. So 6.11 rate of fire, 9.82 second reload time, like I said, which is pretty close to say what the T29 is. And of course the T32. These guns are very similar to each other. I mean, you just can't get any closer for an understanding of how the gun is. Similar aim time, similar dispersion at 100 meters. If you've played those tanks, this thing plays very close to that. A nice, healthy 10 degrees of gun depression, 2.1 aim time, 0.39 dispersion, and 1956 average damage per minute. Probably a little bit closer toward the T32 aspect than, of course, the T29. 1,500 hit points, 191 on the hull, and 60 on the 66 on the side, 51 on the rear, 229 on the frontal of the turret, 89, and 208 on the back. Big hunk of steel. If you can get this just cranked over, if you're looking head on, if you just cranked it over just a little bit, this will bounce a lot of shots. 252, even the Defenders, Scorpion Gs, sometimes a lot of the tier 9 tanks will just bounce right off of it if they don't know where the weak spot is. Of course, just like anything, you'll have a shoulder here. If they aim there, a different story. But if they're shooting this upper plate here, it is almost an auto bounce when you get about 20 degrees, 15 to 20 degrees of spin on it. You're gonna bounce a lot of shit here. Turret's a little bit different. This is the biggest problem. Anything they hit here is almost always an auto bounce, but it's the rest of the right in here on these cheeks. We'll handle up to probably 220, 210 millimeters of penetration, no problem. They start spamming premium shells, you're fucked, because they're going to go right through your cheeks on either side of your gun matlet. So just something to remember. Most tier 6s and 7s are going to have a fuck of a time pinning you, and that's where this tank really shines as that big bully. Of course, somewhat of a weak top, just like all Americans, T-34 type, weakish shit. Cupola is rather small in this tank, so it's not too bad, but this little ridge on the top here, you do get penned by things that have reasonably decent penetration. They can overpen and overmatch your roof. 70 tons loaded, 960 engine horsepower, 29 top speed, 10 in reverse, 27.75 traverse speed. Not too shabby. It's a little slow. Like I said, once again we're talking probably T30 type mobility. Actually, never mind. T32 is a little faster. I don't know which one I'm looking here. Yeah, they're both a little faster. Sorry. Yeah, not too far off. So yeah, a little bit slower than the 35 and the T29, but still not too bad. Of course, it's not Patriot fast, but hey, what the fuck, right? But not too bad when it comes to that. Hold down, it will work. You just have to work a little bit with your turret and try to keep them wiggling it so they don't get the pen the cheeks. Other than that, it's not too. It will work for you. Typically, I run a concealment. Yeah, you're fucking spotted from space. You just assume that you're spotted. It is what it is. 420 view range, 621 signal range. Of course, you're talking about the T-32. That's an entirely different story. Once you get optics on these tanks, then that's really makes a difference. Usually, I do have coded optics on here, but I just switched it out back to my back to one of my scout tanks, so I didn't have a chance to show you what the view range was on it. But believe me, you're going to get out there well over 450 meters with that coded optics. Once again, with the aim time and all that kind of stuff, it's up to you whether you want to use a GLD or any of that kind of stuff. Vertical stabilizers. 2.1 second aim time is not too shabby. So I usually like to go a little bit more toward the view range side of it, especially since it already has a pretty nice view range. This is actually my T-32 crew in here, so I have a lot of the vision perks already on this tank. Throwing a little bit more on there makes it even a little bit better. So I got two games for you. This one was actually, this was my one I just had. High caliber Top Gun, Bradley Walters medal. It was just a kind of a shit show. The only real challenge I had was an RU-252, and I didn't even see him most of the game. So this was mostly me rampaging through a bunch of 6s and 7s. That's what this tank does really well at. Enjoy it, own it. Don't be sad when you do it. And the other game I got is I do believe that was another. Anytime you get close to about 3K on this thing, for damage wise, you're talking easy 100K. This was my other one today with it. Like I said, I had about 8, so it's about 3,400 damage on this one. This one I actually did spam a fair amount of premium shells because this game was tight. I think I fired 5 or something like that. I still made 80K. So yeah, not too shabby for credit making either. So with that said, I'll bring up the two games for you guys, and you guys can check it out. Alright guys, back with the first game in the Mutant 6, Frankenstein, whatever you want to call it. The M6, badass, tier 8 heavy tank. You do see a lot of these games. I'm not gonna complain at all. For a preferential tank, this thing treated me very well today. I think of the 8 games I played in it, I ended up with 6 games at the top. 2 that I actually ended up with anywhere close to 9s. And even that, this thing doesn't do too bad against other 9s, especially tier 9 mediums. That kind of thing have a hard time with this tank. Heavies are a little different story. So our light tanks decided to go nowhere. They won't go up the hill. This changes to this map. Of course, I'll have to do a little bit of a map series on here, just kind of give you an idea what I'm talking about. Pull up here. I got the M6A2E1. He's getting kind of a cheeky at it. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking here, because I'd be dropping shells on him as quick as hell. Pull up, take a snapshot on that shit. Yeah. T-34-3 takes it to the nose. He's shooting at the T-71AD. I'm not terribly sure what his shit is going on here. So pull up in here. Angled my armor well. Yeah, you can't pen me with regular AP. IS, not in a million years, with that big 190 millimeters of armor there. Ferdinand takes a pop shot out of me too, but like I said, notice with my armored front the way it is, they're not going to be able to pen that. Same way with the sides, since I'm kind of scraping up in there. So after well, this isn't going to work out here, I need to get out of here. Try to pick up the MX-1375, which isn't working because we're going to get the shit shoved in on the far side over here. It's looking pretty good for the home team. We're up 2-1 right now, but that's when it kind of all goes to crap. ARL 44, KV2 are pushing down in here. We got the low Type 64 is above us. Yeah, let's see what we can go do over here. Once again, KV2, ARL 44, OIs doesn't know what's going on. I know it's about that time the T28 prototype. He kind of sees what's going on here. He moves over. So then I got to move up here on the Louvet. I don't have much of a chance. Bounce the Louvet. So in this situation, this is not something a place I really want to be into. I'd like to start knocking these tanks out here as quick as possible. KV2, ARL, anything. Back up. I'm pretty sure that the Louvet was going to try to start side scraping with me. Yeah. So pull around the KV2. KV2 hits me with his derp gun. Go figure. Back up. ARL's right there. He's going to take a pot shot at me. We are down now. This is where it gets kind of interesting. Back up. Can't penetrate the Louvet. He knocks out the OI. And that's some of the problem with the 198 pen, which is fine. It works for, like I said, beating up on some of this other stuff. But yeah. So that was actually a pen right there by the ARL 44. Back up. They pick off the ARL 44. I got the Type 64 behind me and the Louvet in front of me. And it's not looking good too for the home team. Lucky enough, the Type 64 decides to go fucking YOLO, and it's a 6-9 game right now. Yeah, this isn't good. So pull up in here, take a shot from the right there. You can see, of course, right where he penned me. I was talking about the somewhat weak cheeks on this thing. Yeah, it does happen. So you have to be a little bit. I mean, they're hard targets to hit, but it will, of course, happen. So pick up the knocked out the Louvet is still hanging out there. I'm not really interested in going down that way. I'm more interested in trying to keep this stuff up on the top of the hill lit. And now, of course, we're down to 611. We're down 5 tanks. But luckily for us, there's 2 tier 8s left, and they have 3 tier 8s left, and a bunch of assorted shit, including 2 artillery pieces. Yay! So there's not a whole lot I'm going to be doing here, so screw it. I'm going to go help the T28 prototype. We're going to see if we can knock out this Louvet, because we've got him kind of cornered here by himself. So he pulls out. Right now, that's auto ricochet. I'm looking, and yep, he's just nice enough to turn his turret for me. And we finish off the Louvet. The Lowell, the Louver, I'm not, yeah, spelled something like that. So, we got the T28 prototype. I got the MX1375 in here. And no. Stupid rock. Where'd that come from? Back up. I'm not terribly sure where everything is at. There's 3 tank destroyers that haven't even been seen yet. So this should be interesting. Pull back up. T28's got that corner. I need to be watching the back door here a little bit. That's about the time I notice the fucking proto. Oh, wow. Here comes the Ferdinand. Apparently he missed out on all the action. He needed to get in on this stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to give this guy a little bit of help here. And unfortunately he's got a little bit too covered. But we do finish him off. Back up here. Got the Firefly. And of course the MX1375. Sorry, artillery, there is not much we can do right now to save you. Pick up the Firefly, nail him. Oh, denied. We've brought the game back from utter, absolute disaster, and we've brought it back to a 11-12 game right now. So, moving up, we're going to see what we can do here with the M6. I'm trying to get a somewhat of a plan here. I'm hoping the T28 prototype goes up on the, that's actually what I'm going to tell him here. I need him up on the hill. I'm going to do a little bit of the spotting here. I have that HP. He doesn't. And he's not going to do well if he's going to start getting hit by 2 artillery pieces and the 2 TDs. So he can go up on top of the hill, and I'm going to work down the ABC line. Go wide. Always go wide. Hopefully that the artillery's not paying attention and seeing shit get broke down. But yeah, go wide. Make sure you're not going to get spotted when you go across here. They've changed this map so much. There used to be a bunch of ridges in here, and you could be able to do it relatively easy. Of course, we're going to have to do one on the map series about this and see what happens. So pull through. I'm going to start working my way over here. Hopefully, let's see what we can find. So, taking a stroll through downtown, and we're getting advice from the rest of the team. Yep, watch out is right, buddy. The tier 7 Frenchie hits for an abnormally large amount of, for some reason, I don't know how the French ended up with getting such great artillery. I just boggles my mind. So pull up here. Didn't get spotted by anything. Kind of odd. Kind of making me wonder if they're not over there on the island somewhere. He's finally in position, the T28 prototype. I'm going to give the and that's about the time we noticed the T34 2G. Yeah, I just typed that as he died, and I'm like, fuck. So, yep, it is pretty assured that we're not going to have to deal with anything over here, and it's time to head back to the cap. I'm not terribly sure why they played it the way they did play it. This is not someplace I'd be going when I know there was 2 tier 8s left on the map, especially a T28 prototype. I mean, I'm sure that Chinese tank destroyer is awesome and all, but it's a T28 prototype, right? So I'm going to pull on over in here. I switched to a premium round. This is the time not to bounce shit. So I don't have a problem throwing out a little extra money just to win the game. Pull up in here to where I think he's going to be. And that's about the time. Yep. Hey, look at that. Friendly base capture, and he's up here somewhere. So pull in over here. Where are you? Wow, I'm close. Apparently, there he is. Pick up the T34-2. He doesn't really have much chance there because of the way I was sloped on that side slope. For some reason, I roll a somewhat low shot. T28 prototype's paying attention. He nails him. Take a big kaboosh from the Lorraine 155-50 for 290. M44 fired, he missed, and now I'm on the run. Wow, I can't believe that's a huge freaking hole right there in the front of that. That's amazing. Yeah, I know I made that already mad. So, we got the one TD left and two tank destroyers, or two artillery. And now I went back one way, now I'm going back the other way. They saw me going that way, so I'm kind of hoping that they're going to figure that I'm going to be going that way in general. And back we go. So, get the T-28 Proto once again prepped for doing his job here. And I'm going to roll over here toward the islands. We got about 4 minutes left. This is going to get kind of tight. So, we will see what's going to happen here as we do this. Come around, and oh shit, thank you, buddy. You saved me the effort and the fuel to drive across the other side. So, back up to the top here. Alright, ISU, what are you going to be doing here? Which actually works out pretty well coming from this way. We have some rocks, and I have some cover from artillery, and I'm not going to get shot to shit from it. Pick up the SU. Put the footer shell in them, 328. I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to charge it. Nope. I don't want to get out past my safe rock. My safe zone is here, here, and here. Out there, yeah, bad place to be. Bad place to be. So back up. One artillery is fired, and I'm just going to look for him. There we go. Give me my corner. I'm not sure why he wants me to fall back. The artillery misses the second shell. And that's not terribly sure if that's both of them or if the same one. Oh, nope, that was the other one. So, now the artillery have both fired at me, and I'm good to go. Now we're back on the run, and they're still firing at me. That 44 must have the small gun, because he is just firing like ridiculously fast. So, off on the move. 3 minutes left. However, they have two artillery pieces, and both of us are sitting. That Frenchie could do enough damage to actually really hurt us. We'll see what happens. M44, not so much. That's just more like a tickle, just a little tickle. Make the pigs burn. Oh yes, buddy, we'll make them burn. Yes, we will. The hatred of the heavy tank driver to the RD player. So no, I don't normally do this just because I was like, but you know what? This guy played really well. I don't have a problem giving him his brother in arms if that's what he really wants. So I pick up the platoon with him, and we're just gonna roll on over here. 2 minutes 26 seconds, like blazing fast speed. I mean, this thing just moves. Good thing it's a short map. Otherwise, I'd been fucked. So off we go. We're looking. I got my normal nervous habit of poking the barrel up and down, but we're gonna have to see what we can do here. Looking. Nothing. Oh, time's up. I have to get into the cap as fast as I can. Oh, picked up by something. At first I thought it was Lorraine 155, but I was like, nah, that can't be him. How the fuck did he spot me? Then I said, nope, M44 right there. Oh, stunned by the crew. Stopped, wait for the... no, he got it. I didn't want to blow my repair kit till after the Lorraine shot, but we'll see here. So, still sitting at 426. Pick up the Lorraine. Oh, now what are you doing, buddy? Put a shell into him. He hits me for 132. I hit him for 308. Just can't give me the high roll, can you? So, we got the Lorraine 155 left. Game's almost over, 121. We got to finish him off. Pull up here into objective just to make sure we get it. Started. Not going to do me any good anyway because he's got to die. T-28 prototype comes around the corner. And he's going to get a shot on the... Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, buddy. So we ended up with 9 kills between the two of us and the vast majority of the damage. So that's the first game. I got one more for you guys to check out. And then, yeah. Alright, back with the second game in the M6A2E1. The Frankenstein. Once again, another top tier matchup. My only real big threat, of course, is the T-52, the Object 252, I should say. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you're going to run into 252s, you're going to have to load premium rounds because you're 198, unless you get to their side. you're not going to be able to pen him frontally. It's just the way it is. So yeah, don't be afraid to carry some premium rounds with this tank, because you're going to have to, like I said, deal with some 9s and dealing with some of the 8s that have very good armor. You're not going to be able to pen them reasonably efficiently enough with the 198 pen. However, it is a tier 8 top tier match. There's 3 of us, and this is where this tank really, once again, really shines when you get to bully 6s and 7s. Trying to get across here. We got the T71DA already spotting everybody as they cross. Yeah, we need to move. Try to get across here without getting spotted. And, oh, now I got a Bat Chat 12T right there. Across we come. Get picked up in a invite here to the chair XXX. And, ooh, there we go. All platooned up. I feel better now. With a 7 and a 6. Pushing on through here. Got the MT25, Bat Chat 12T, and a Cromwell have been spotted so far. We're going to see what we can do here when we get over here. J Panther spotted. And that's when the Object 252 is spotted. So now here's where it really becomes important. I'm not going to stop. There is this. If I stop with that 252 over there, yeah, this game could really go tits up. I'm going to be working this rather quickly here. I need to get moving. The Achilles already puts a shell into the T-3485M. IK-65-2 kills the T-3485 on that side. So I know he's over there, but that really doesn't matter because what I need to do is get in here and be the bully. Pick up the Cromwell right off the bat. IK-65 is going to put a shell into me from this side. Yep, gets me for 248. Pick up the T-3485, finish him off. And here we go. Ooh, there is the Udez. He doesn't seem to be interested in actually shooting me, which is fine by me. There's one gun that doesn't really care about my armor. So put another shell into him, set him on fire, finish him off. Now I have a 3002 here, an IKV over there, and the J Panther. So let's go. Put a shell into 3002. The 252 has run into an epic crap ton of tanks, so this should be interesting. Move up on the J Panther. He's my biggest threat. Put a shell into him, and we're sitting about 6.5. He's doing a number here on my platoon mate, so we're gonna finish off the J Panther. Call that good. The Achilles got the MT25T to the backside. Yeah, it's time to roll. Come in around on the 3002. Put a shell into him. Doesn't quite finish him off here, but I do have the MT25T. I'm not terribly sure if he thinks that bush is, if he's hiding in the bush. What's he doing in the bush? So you got the 71 and the Bat Chat 12T across the other way. It's time to move. Jackson, he gets cheeky as fuck. Yeah, it's alright, because I got RNG on my side today, baby. Doesn't really matter. Puts me up to my 6th kill. Got the Tiger 1. I thought, yeah, I don't know, but I better come back across here to help, just to make sure. But they're doing a pretty nice job over here, so I move back up the side of the hill. Good gun elevation on this tank. And that's when I time to pick up the Tiger 1 rolling across. He has no idea I'm here till he's dead. Yeah. So there's the Bat Chat 12T, AT-15A here. AT-15s are always a pain to pen. However, he will most likely do a number on my tank. If he loads premium rounds, he fires like every fucking 4 seconds. So, load the premium round. Time to finish off the AT-15A. The Achilles, he doesn't give a fuck. He charges right in there and goes after him. So, come around the corner, hoping to get at least one shot of damage into him. Pick up the AT-15A. And, yeah, that's why it's always a pain with AT-15s, whether it's this version or the other version. Pick him up. He's got 31 hit points left. Pick up the Cupola, finish him off. End up with 8 kills with the tank and a Radley Walters stop gun and oh, the beautiful medals. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video of this rare tank. Hopefully you guys, if you ever see one on the battlefield, this will help you. Maybe if you're in the lower tiers, steer clear of this fucking thing, because it is a monster when you are under tiered against it. So have a good night, guys, and thanks for watching.